Here's Charlie Dickens, chapter 34, entitled Bird. Dot. After half a mile, the first spots of rain began to fall, and he heard a small thud at the side of the road. It sounded like the fall of an apple, and he went over to investigate. Whatever it was moving, and he brushed the tall grass away, and what it revealed was a surprising sight of a small bird. It was flapping its wings to no avail. It must have fallen from the nest, thought Charlie, and sadly there was no way for him to put it back. He thought for a moment, wondering what he could do. He knew that if he left the bird, it wouldn't stand a chance. He tenderly scooped the bird up in his hand, and he placed it carefully into the thick, comforting folds of his coat pocket. He knew it would be safe and warm there. When he got home, his mum was cooking in the kitchen, and Charlie could smell the beautiful aroma drifting through the home. He wondered about telling his mum about the bird, but he quietly decided to keep it a secret. He was worried that the bird would jump out of his pocket and surprise his mum as he was eating his meal, and he couldn't wait to be in the bedroom in secret. Charlie shut the door behind him, and he carefully lifted the bird out like a precious, fragile jewel. He was so frightened of hurting her or him, he wasn't sure. He looked round his bedroom, and he wondered where to put the bird. He wasn't sure if it could fly properly. The last thing that he wanted was for it to fly blind into the window. He began to panic. He gently placed the bird on the soft folds of the duvet, and he held his hands above its soft head, and expecting it to immediately soar like an eagle. But it was so young that it flapped its wings, and it rose a little off the ground, and only to fall back down like an out-of-control helicopter. Charlie tried not to laugh, but he couldn't help himself. He rummaged in the cupboards, throwing comics and baseball bats, and tired-looking old teddy bears left and right, and he was beginning to despair. And then he found a large green Wellington boot. He stuffed an old rugby sock into the bottom of it, and he placed the tiny bird inside. Charlie hoped that she'd be safe, so he watched her bobbing up and down for a good 5 minutes, and then she became still, except for the odd twitching of a single wing, keeping time like a metronome to invisible music. Now all that Charlie had to do was to find out what the poor bird liked to eat, and he knew that it wasn't going to be fish pie. Charlie rifled through his encyclopedias for more information on birds. He knew that they liked to eat worms, but he didn't fancy crawling on his hands and knees in the garden, in the dark and dirt, looking for them. He couldn't find much information in the book, so he decided to go down the stairs for a glass of milk, as he was feeling thirsty and to think some more. His mum had fallen asleep with a heavy book on her lap, and then he realized that breadcrumbs may be a good idea. After all, they were only small, he reasoned, and it was easy to drop into the bird's eager mouth. He grabbed a couple of slices of bread, and then it dawned on him that he would need something to put the milk into for the poor bird to drink. He headed for Mary's medicine cupboard, and he skillfully opened the creaking doors and made as little sound as possible. The last thing that he wanted was to be found out. He moved the bottle of tablets carefully to avoid suspicion, and then he found what he was looking for. "Awesome," he said, as he held the teat up to the light. "This is perfect." As soon as he was safe behind the bedroom door, he squeezed the teat, and the once glassy table became white.